everybody, we are on page 4 and page 5, and this is a very familiar flap design. You guys have seen me do this in several albums, but we're going to have the door style that opens and then opens again. So each page 4 and page 5 will be the same. They're both going to have this, I guess it's a double flap is what I would call it, because it kind of folds over on itself. Okay, and they're going to get applied to the left and right hand side of the paper or the pocket page. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you've got your page laying in the right orientation, and I wrote my number down. That helps me keep that in order. And I'll give you the measurements for these. These are 8.5 by 8, 8.5 by 8. You're going to score at a ½ inch, ½ inch, and 4.5 inch on the 8.5 inch side. And you're going to do that a total of 4 times for page 4 and 5. So 2 per page, 2 for 4, 2 for 5. Again, it's 8.5 by 8, score ½ inch and 4.5 on the 8.5 inch side. All right, I think that's it. And I've misplaced my picture. So just give me a second. Here it is. I put it up. That's misplacing it. Okay. Oh, and there's one other thing I need to tell you about this. So it's 8 by 8.5, right? And then you score at ½ inch and 4.5, and then you're going to fold it over and make sure that it'll lay flat. If it doesn't lay flat, you're going to take a little sliver off the edge of the outside edge away from the ½ inch hinge. So once you get it scored and folded, if it doesn't fold over and lay flat, if it wants to buckle, then you need to take a little sliver off the edge, which I did on all 4 of these. So you'll need to do that. It's just, I just kind of take a little off at a time until I get it just right. But since I'm here, I'll tell you what this actually measures now. So it looks like I took about 1/8 of an inch off once I folded it over, okay? So don't forget to do that. You'll know right away, because when you fold it over, it just won't lay flat for you. And you also have to remember it's going to get bulkier because you're going to have paper on both sides. So about 1/8 of an inch off is about right. Okay, so I'm applying this toward the spine and also toward the pocket side of the page. So that's up, down, left, right. And there we go. So we're going to do that again one more time for page 5. Yeah. Okay. And the measurements one more time, 8.5 by 8. Score at ½ inch and 4.5, and then take about 1/8 of an inch off. And that should give you just the right width so that you can fold it over on itself and it'll close flat. Okay, that's it. One more time. There you go. All right, that's it. So that's page 4 and page 5. I'm hemming and hawing about different ideas about how to keep these closed and where I think I'm headed, and I'll just let you know right now, but I'm probably not going to make that decision until I start actually cutting my designer paper, is either using a tag with a magnet, or the other thing I was thinking of is actually putting a tag on a hinge so that it would flap down to open up, and then you'd flap it back up to close it. But like I said, I haven't decided just yet, and I will go over that in the design once I start to lay in the design layers. I know that I need to do something to keep them closed. So it's a question of whether I'm gonna apply one of the cut aparts up here across both of these, or if I'm gonna have something flap up from the top or from the bottom. I said that backwards, from the top or from the bottom, to hold it all in place. But that's it for page 4 and 5 for right now. And when we get together again in the next video, I will have that figured out and we will install it before we add the designer papers. Or in the case of, if it's on top, we would install the designer papers and then add the closure on top of the designer paper. So we'll know that when I get back together with you guys very soon. So that's it for now. Be right back soon. Hey everybody, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and I've got page 4 and 5 laying out in front of me, and this is what the top or the closed position of page 4 and 5 is going to look like. And I've got these fold over doors happening. Gotta make sure I've got that right side up. Yeah, I do. Okay, and page 6 is on the back. Okay, so we're good. So I think I've got these trimmed out. Oh no, it looks like I might need to do a little bit of dry fitting and inking before we get going too much. But I want to share with you what I decided in terms of keeping these flaps closed. So I cut out, these are 2 cut aparts. And I've got one for each page, and I haven't really decided which way I want to go. But anyway, I am going to adhere the mat on one side, apply this card, and then I'm going to place a magnet on the back side of the card and a magnet on the opposing flap. And then you'll see when you open it up, you can still open it again because the card's going to be laying flat. So that's what we're going to do in terms of these closures. So I'm going to set those aside for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and dry fit these, and then we'll get the magnets, part of it laid down, and then get the magnets placed. So let's see. This one actually looks like it's right on. So I believe the magnets are going to go, I think I want my cards to have a little bit glued on to the colorful side and then just be a little bit offset with a little bit more on the black side. So the magnets are going to go underneath the black sides and underneath these cards. So with that, that means I can go ahead and trim out and lay down the patterned paper, and then we'll come back and do the black paper and place the magnets after that. So, sorry, I was just thinking out loud, I guess. There is some words on here, so you might want to take a look and make sure when you trim it, or before you glue it down, that you're gluing it down in the right orientation. Okay, that looks good. Now let's check this one. It looks like this one, it's also upside down, and it's trimmed right. Okay, so these are okay. So let's go ahead and ink these and get these laid down. Then we got just one less thing floating around on the desktop. And then once we figure out the placement for these cards, the way they're going to lay over and be the latch, then we'll need to actually find a coordinating piece of cardstock to cover the black on the other side. So first we'll just get started laying down the stuff that we know goes down. And see, here I wrote myself a note so I wouldn't forget. Because you know me, I have a habit of doing that, laying down my mat and then panicking because I didn't have a magnet put down. Looks good. Okay, that's page 4. I'm gonna set that aside. Let's do page 5. Dry fit one more time. Looks good. Let's ink our edges. Like I said, there's a little bit of words in the background. It's hard to see, but make sure you got it going the right direction. Sometimes it's easy to tell by the flower orientation, but in this pattern, it's not so easy. Okay, that's in. Okay, so the next thing is, set that aside for a second. Sorry, my chair is kind of, got carpet in my craft room. I know it's a no-no, but I do. Anyway, my chair gets stuck in grooves occasionally. So, like I said, I kind of want a little more of the card on the dark side. I think it just, the contrast is nicer, like so. So I'm trying to figure out what I want here. It looks like, I'm gonna go ahead and come in off the edge of this flap 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, show you what I mean. So I'm gonna come in about 3/4 of an inch, so that's about right there. And that's what I'm planning on doing, okay? So that means I really need a relatively large piece of paper to go on the back side of this, because so much of it's going to be exposed when you open the page. So I'm thinking about this for a second. Okay, I think I can go ahead and glue this down. So I'm going to set this aside. Let's do that. And I'm actually going to place the magnet on the flip side. Okay, that's done. Like I said, it's going to go in around right about there. So I have to think about this for a second because I want to be able to put some paper behind it. So I'm not ready to do that yet. So let's go ahead and pull in page 4. And we'll work on putting this piece together as well. This is in, that's about right there. So I'm going to place my magnet right about here in the back of this, okay? And that, when I say right about here, I'm going to come in about an inch from the outside edge and place it right here. Okay. And then we'll find the locating one after we glue this down. But I really want to get these magnets in because I'm not with it today, and I could do something dumb like put my mat down before I get my magnet in. So like I said, I'm coming in about an inch, so inch centered. And I'll do the same thing on, and you'll see if this goes in about right there. It's plenty of overlap. So I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to come in about an inch. That's my mark. I'm not even going to mark it. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and place my magnet centered right there. Okay. So those are ready, even though I'm not ready to glue them down just yet. Make sure I put that over far enough. Yep, plenty of space. And the reason I'm not ready to glue these down is, even though I know what's going here, I want to know what's going here so that, and I don't know if I'm still in screen, but I want to know what's going on this panel so I can coordinate here, and the same thing here. So I'm stalling for just a second while I lay out what I'm doing. So I know this was one of my options. And I think I got plenty of that paper. So yeah, so what would be the coordinating? Is that big enough? It is. That's excellent. Okay, I think I can cut this in half and it'll be the right size. So it's, right now it's 4. Let's check. looks good. That looks good. And then I think what I want to do right here in the center is this piece right here. And yeah, and I've got plenty of it. So I'm going to do the palm fronds for the outside. And hang tight. I'm going to trim out a piece real quick. I'm changing my mind on the fly. Part of that is because I'd started working with a single DCE, and I realized I couldn't finish the book with a single DCE. So well into the paper planning process, I opened my second pack of paper. And so now I know I have some more choices that I didn't have when I was originally planning. Okay, and here's my second one. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And 7/8. Okay, there we go. So that's what the two center pieces are going to look like. And then I still have enough of this paper, hopefully going the right direction, yes, to cover the second panel. Oops, that's the wrong way. All right, so when you first open it up, I'm going to move it aside so we're only looking at one at a time. That's my centerpiece. These will be exposed. This is what the back side of that card will look like, and then we still need to cover the inside here, but I wanted to get that decision made. So now that I know this is going to go here, and this is going to work for me, I'm going to cover the back side of my card. Oops, it's a little too short. I think that might be a little too shy. That's okay. I think. That's too short too. Let me see what I've got going here. It's a little shorter than I wanted it to be, but we might have to make that work. When you see what I'm talking about is that border's a little broader than I want it to be, but I can't trim it down because it fits this ephemera card. So I have to find something that fits there. So what are my other options? It needs to be a little bit wider than 4 inches. That's where my problem is. And I think these are all 4 inches. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, what to do? Well, I'm trying to find some more of this paper that's in the right orientation, because that's 4 inches also, which is not enough. Let's check this one. Yep, it's a little too shy. So I'm looking for some scraps that are a little bit bigger. And here it is. How about that? Let's double check. Yep, there it is. So that worked out well. So I'm going to cut this in half. And double check it, but I think it's going to be the right height. Yeah, it's close, much closer. Ink. I did bring my pick tool in. I'm just checking for orientation. Okay, yay, that's in. So now we can glue this down. And then find the opposing magnet. I'm looking for... Okay, I'm going to keep it simple. That's 1 inch, so I'm going to come in 1 inch. That's what's left exposed. So I just want to make sure when I lay it down that I don't have any black exposed. And I'm just going to eyeball this. I am not going to measure it. I'm going to close it and make sure it looks, so I can get all this extra paper out here, straight. And it does, so now I'm going to push it into place, and now we can put the other magnet down. Okay, now we can also go ahead and lay down the other panel here, which is, I'm currently working on page 5, so I'm kind of got them out of order. I took this and I split it in half, so I just want to make sure I'm putting it in so that you can, and I also did not dry fit, but it's right, so that the words carry across the 2 pages. Okay, so that is what that's going to look like. So let's go and do the same thing on page 4, and then we'll work on the inside. So I know I need this and this. Let's see. Yep, perfect. Okay. It's actually going to go on the red side. It's going to get everything laid out. Make sure I'm doing things right side up. That looks good. So let's get the tape off and some glue down. Okay, that's going to be red side up, and pay attention to your orientation. Yikes. You could cover the whole thing if you wanted to. You don't need to, so I'm not going to. And then that should leave about 1 inch exposed, and that's what, let's look at it. Yep, that's 1 inch. So we are going to go ahead and just put glue on the bottom half and do the same thing we did on the other side. And again, it's going to go on the pattern side just like this one. And I'm just going to put these side by side to help me essentially place it in the same place. They're not going to be this close together. There'll be a gusset between them, but it's nice to try to get it right. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we can do our other magnet. So I'm using, I normally use 3/8 inch tape when I'm making the album for all my hinges, and then this is 5/8, which is a little bigger than a 1/2 inch. And I use it when I'm trying to cover large spaces, and I also use it to cover these magnets because the tape goes all the way around the edge of the magnet, softening it up. Okay, so there is our closure. And now we are ready to go ahead and put down this panel right here. So let's dry fit it. And then, of course, put it in right side up. And yeah, it looks good. Let's get some ink on it and lay it down. And then we'll move on to the insides. Okay. Looking good. Okay, page 4 and 5. I really like the way that looks. Now I'm gonna cap my glue because I think I'm gonna have to do a little bit of trimming on the inside. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna set page 5 aside and get started on the inside of these flaps. Now, if you remember when we installed this, we did an 8.5 by 8 and we scored at 1/2 inch and at 4.5 inches, and then I asked you to trim just a little bit off the inside so that when you closed it, it would lay flat. Now because of that, this piece is going to be trimmed a little bit smaller than the one on the outside. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to get that trimmed out. So right now I'm just trying to go top to bottom. And again, like I said, this is not quite 4 inches wide, so we're going to custom trim this panel right now. Let's see how that looks. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Perfect. And then we're going to repeat this process for page 5. I went ahead and just used the same design on page 5. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Pardon me. Okay, so that is in. Then the other really simple piece is this large piece that's going to lay right here. And then once we get that in, then we can come back and do the insides here. And I'm just dry fitting, it looks good, so I'm gonna put it down. And I am on page 4, and I know I'm going back and forth, but they are gonna be the same, so it shouldn't be too confusing. So even if I'm on 5, it's gonna look the same on page 4. Okay, same patterns. Okay, that's 4. So we still got to come back and cover these, but I'm going to close this, and we are going to go over to page 5 and do the same thing. So here we are on page 5. Let's go ahead and get the left and right panels covered with this paper. I don't know, I don't have any confidence. I might not. Oh, I did. I was going to say I might have to trim it again, but it looks right. Okay. What did I do with my other panel? Here it is. Okay, that's in. Then we've got this nice large piece that goes in the center. Might have to take a break. I'll line up my next sets of paper, and then I think I need to change out my glue bottle. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to clean my tip, so I'll take a few minutes to do that. There we go. Okay, like I said, I think I'm going to need a few minutes to change out my glue bottle and clean my tip. And then when we come back, we will do the insides of page 4 and 5. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, well, I didn't get my glue tip changed. I did get all my paper trimmed out, and we still need to ink it and dry fit it, but it's pretty close, so this should go pretty quickly. I've got it set for both pages, so we'll start with page 4. So these are the papers that I've trimmed out to go on the inside. It's going to be the duplicate on page 5. I'm just standing up to make sure I've got the whole thing in frame, and I do. So we're going to go red, green, and then red, green, red. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fold these over on themselves and scoot this over so this is centered. And these look pretty good. My only hesitation is it's pretty tight to the score line, so I just want to make sure it's going to fold over on itself nicely. So I'm going to test that a little bit before I actually glue it down. And I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, it's going to be fine. So let's go ahead. This looked right. Yeah, get some ink on it and glue it down. got so little ink, it takes a while for it to travel down, so sorry. Thanks for being patient. Okay, let's dry fit this. Looks good. We'll get some ink on here. Okay, now we're going to flip and do this side. Oh, I hear my dog. She's been under the weather today. I don't know what's going on. She has not eaten today, which is not good for a big dog. Okay. And this is our last piece for page 4. Whoops, almost forgot to ink it. A little too much coffee. I got the jitters this morning. Probably just need to take a break and eat lunch is what it is. Okay. There we go. So there's page 4. And I am going to go check and see what my dog's doing. I'll be right back and we'll finish page 5. Okay, she just wanted outside, so I went ahead and made that happen. Now we are going to finish page 5. Oops, I want to open it the same way as page 4, but they open away from each other. So that wasn't working. Okay, so I've got my papers, and I think they're trimmed. I think they just need to be inked and glued. We're getting close. I like this. I like alternating patterns like this. Hopefully you guys do too. These are nice when you have patterns like this because it doesn't really change, the orientation doesn't matter. So they become kind of what I consider like a universal piece. They can go any way on a page, where these are very directional. And when you've got 12 by 12 and you've got an 8 by 8 album, that means you're gonna have 4-inch strips on either side, and some are gonna be horizontal, some are gonna be vertical, and so you have to, you know, mind where you place them. And these patterns are nice because they go anywhere, vertical or horizontal. So those are some of the things that I think about when I'm making an album too, and I keep trying to share these tips with you guys. When you trim down a 12 by 12 for an 8 by 8 pocket page, one of your 4-inch strips is going to be 12 by 4 and one's going to be 8 by 4. Just because, assuming you cut straight lines like I do, it just takes way too much time otherwise. Anyways, as you are planning your album, you want to think about that, right? You want to think about the horizontal and vertical strips that you're creating by trimming out that 8 by 8. Do you want, you know, a more vertical album where your flaps are narrow and long? Or are they going to be more horizontal? I tend to go horizontal, and here's why. Most people take their photographs in a 6 by 4 format, this way, not this way. So when you're putting your flaps in, think about that, how the orientation of the photos. Sometimes people will turn their camera around, but most of the time it's in a landscape format. So I like a lot of my flaps to go landscape direction. In a 8 by 8 album, it is square, but the flaps that you apply are not. So it's just something to think about as you're designing your own. Whoops. I'm just gonna put that on without any ink. We don't want that. Shoot, I almost dropped it, you guys. That means it's time for a break. So I'm gonna get these last 2 panels down and I'm gonna stop, get some lunch, get the shakes out. There's nothing more frustrating than dropping glue side down on another piece of designer paper. Ugh, and I've done it. We all have. So maddening. Okay. But we're almost there, so I'm gonna stick it out for these last 2 panels. And then we're done with page 4 and 5. Okay. I did take all your feedback, and it looks like, you know, one page per video is what you guys prefer. So that is the format that I'll continue to be bringing you, with the exception of page 4 and 5. If they're the same, I'll do them both at the same time, because a lot of times it's the same flap design and the same paper design. So just, you're gonna have all this paper out anyway. But in the case where 4 and 5 are not the same, I'll split those videos. And, you know, whatever feedback, give me the feedback. I'll try to work it in. If there's more stuff that you want to see, stuff you don't want to see, let me know. I want to make this content interesting for you. So I was doing a little research on YouTube, and they had just put out some new information on how, you know, their algorithm works and how my videos are served up to you guys. So my goal is to put out good, interesting content that you guys can use, that's very usable, and you know, to get that content out to as many people as possible. And, you know, the more people that watch the videos, the greater the chance that some of you guys will come over and shop in our store, which we hope you do, but it's not a requirement. So having said all that, there's a couple of things that I learned about how these videos are served up. And one of them is YouTube, the YouTube gods favor the number of view hours that you have. So the longer anybody's, the more time people spend on your videos, that helps them recommend my video to other people who haven't or aren't subscribers. And the other thing is, you know, hitting the like button. which, you know, some of you guys do, but not very many. What I've noticed is, for example, on a video where I might have 10,000 views, I've only got a couple, maybe a couple hundred likes, which I'm sure more than 200 people like it if 10,000 people watched it. So if you get a chance, it's not too much trouble. If you hit that like button, that, even if you're not a subscriber, that helps YouTube know that what you searched for was, you found what you wanted, and it'll help recommend me to other people that aren't viewing me already. So I would appreciate if you guys would do that. And that's enough about me. And this is our last panel, so we're just about done. So again, if you like it or you like our channel in general, make sure you hit that like button, whether you're a subscriber or not, and it helps other people find us, and I appreciate that. And of course you can share too, and I have seen some of you guys share, so there's some statistics I can see about how much sharing goes on. And for those of you that are sharing information about our channel or sending links to people, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, so if you get a second, subscribe, hit that bell, and you'll be notified when new content is available. And if you like what you see, hit that like button. It helps us out a lot. Help support our channel. Thanks a lot, guys. That is page 5. I'm going to pull in page 4, and there we have it. I'm cleaning through a little bit of housekeeping here so you can see it just in the middle. I'm loving these 2 pages. So one of the other things I do is I often design from the inside out. So I'll design page 4 and 5 and then figure out what to do with the rest of the pages. It's just one of my quirks. You could do this style on any page. You don't, because there's 2 page 1 wouldn't work because it's the inside flap. Or the inside of the book, but you could do 2 and 3 this way, 4 and 5 like I do, and you know, any page that has 2 opposing pages, you can do the similar spread. I don't know why I don't. I always hold it for the middle. It's just kind of my design aesthetic. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. When I get back, we will be working on page 6, and page 6 is just like page 3. It's got that slider in it. And like I said, it was a little bit fussy to put together, but the design goes together really quick. I mean, the designer layer goes together really quick. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share. And, you know, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you get a chance, head over to our shop and see what we've got in store. And then if you're new to the channel, in the description, if you click the show more, the first thing you're going to see is a material list with links to our shop for these papers. If you keep scrolling, you will find the cut list for this. And the cut list is for all the black cardstock, all the flaps, and interactive components that you see in this album. So there is a cut list in addition to the banners that we run across the tutorial. So thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Daphne. I'm going to check out and have some lunch right now. And then when I get back, we'll work on page 6.